I see men choosing dopamine, choosing hedonism, choosing clout and nonsense, snaking people they've worked with before just to get more clout and more clicks. You're actually living in a way that young men can look at and say, you know what? That's a disciplined guy who's living his best life. That's someone I want to be like. I don't see many influences like people like Adin Ross. How is he influencing people to be better? You know, all
he
these...
tried for a couple of weeks.
But it's hard though, right?
Yeah.
It's hard. And this is what I mean. Most men in the position of status and money will choose hedonism and debauchery and nonsense. They'll waste their lives. You've chosen the straight path, and I respect that greatly. I think it's a very rare thing, and that's real role modeling to the men of today. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I think the case of Adin Ross, for example, he wants to be the best version of himself and everything. He has that desire.
Everyone wants. I want to be a multi-millionaire sitting in a big villa. All right, I've gone and created it. Like anyone wants to do these things. It means nothing. I know a lot of, for example, Western women who want to be a CEO boss bitch. They're not going to work for 12 hours a day for 40 years to do it though, are they? Everyone wants. Intention means nothing if you don't bring action. So with people like Adin, I'm sorry, pathetic. You've had access to people like Tate, you've had access to people like yourself, and you still choose drugs and debauchery and working for some gambling website, pushing kids to gambling. I'm sorry, it's disgusting, and he will be judged in his final day. He will have to answer for the negative impact he's having on humanity. It's disgusting.
That's why I do like Rumble quite a bit, because it is about free speech. The website was created with the message of free speech, and that's the philosophy. Kick was created with the philosophy of gambling. Like, that's who owns that website. I do wish the best for Adin, and we did have a lot of like gym stream planned. We were texting back and forth. I'm like, let's go to the gym. We could really motivate your audience, because I saw you was doing the gambling thing. Like, there's so many people that watch it, that look up to you and that emulate you. You see, like, there was a couple of years where all these 12-year-old kids were, I don't want to do the thing right now, but they were like imitating doing blowjobs, because like Adin, like that was his thing, was like...
That was his thing?
Yeah. Like,
how can that be your thing?
But the funny thing is, he was never canceled. When he was being gay, like, nobody ever canceled him. As soon as he started saying, like, being positive and trying to for like a couple weeks, then they started going after him. But yeah, I mean, a lot of it is just being retarded. That
was his thing?
Yeah. No, genuinely.
Oh, like, I had no respect for the guy before. I mean... Unbelievable.
What's your predictions with a guy like it? Because I think he reflects a lot of the social media addicted Gen Z. He is pretty. That's why people resonate with him, is because they like to look at him like, dumb retard. He's like a reflection of your phone in human form. Where do you think his direction is?
Look, if you're going to have access to powerful motivators and powerful, clear feedback from someone like Tate, and you're still going to choose drugs, gambling, hedonism, then I really couldn't care. As far as I'm concerned, he's a nothing person. As far as I'm concerned, people like that don't exist. They're not worth my time. I don't consume their content, if you can even call it that. Those sorts of people don't even exist in my reality. And I would encourage young men to do the same. Watch who you consume, watch whose words you allow into your brain, because at the end of the day, that's programming you as well. You let someone like Tate, who talks about discipline, self-accountability, continual, endless hard work to improve your life, getting angry and channeling that. I was an angry young man. I grew up rough. I didn't grow up like this, right? I was angry. I channeled that. I worked for decades to improve my life. These are the sorts of people you should consume content from. And I think any young man out there who consistently consumes Adin's content is doing himself a disservice. Ignore people like that. They're not real. Let them live their unethical, pointless lives. So they've got clout, they've got followers. Who cares? Their lives are shit. Their relationships are rubbish. They have no self-discipline. They don't have any health. And I'm sorry, they're probably going to end up with drug habits and gambling habits and these sorts of things, if he hasn't got them already.
He does.
Oh, really?
He's very public about that.
All right, there you go. That's the end state. Why would you let someone like that influence you in any way? Don't consume people like that's content. They're not real, as far as I'm concerned.
We've had some disagreements in the past couple of months because we come from different backgrounds. I'm wondering what you have realized about the social media space after stepping in. So you come from private security. You come from you fought in the military for which army?
Australian Army.
The Australian Army, but you were deployed in the Middle East?
Yep. I built my career in Middle East and Africa over the last 15 years. The majority of that's private sector. I was a soldier, then I went into the intelligence world, learned a few languages, a lot of time in the Middle East, and then private sector, Middle East and Africa. So
what have you picked up on that you think you could give as advice for the generation that, I would say the most people that are watching this, a lot of people watching this are similar to me or Adin Ross or are social media people. What have you noticed stepping into this world after coming from a completely different, it's like another planet to us?
It really is. I'm confused why certain people are famous. Like, I can't, why would someone like Adin be famous? It's hard for, and look, You've explained it, but it's hard for me to understand. I'm confused why certain people are valued. Like there are certain celebrities who are just dancing clowns, like the Paul brothers. I'm sorry. Look, I understand that Jake is a disciplined guy, you know, and Tate respects him somewhat, but someone like Logan is a dancing clown. Why is he famous? I can't understand this. Why, as a young man looking to improve your life, would you give your valuable time to watching a dancing clown like Adin or Logan? Because they're entertaining. Aren't there more entertaining people out there, for example, like Tate, who also have a positive message, who will also inspire you to be a better person? I don't understand why some of these people are famous, man. That's, you know, I'm 40 years old. Maybe I'm too old to understand, but I see these people with these big followings. I'm like, what value do you have as a man? You can't be relied upon by your brother. You most certainly cannot be relied upon to resist temptation. You know, the bros before comment, obviously they're going to choose the latter. You know what I mean? They're nothing men. I don't understand why they'd be famous. What I'd say to people who are overly sort of caught up in the social media world, fame comes and goes, and money can be spent quick as well. You know, what matters in life is value, character as a man, mental resilience, having the right men around you, because that is lasting. So all these people who are looking up to the social media types, oh, look how famous he is, look how rich he is, he's amazing, that probably isn't going to end well. You know, the Adins of the world are not on a positive life path. Look at men who've created, as I call it, custom-made realities, who have solid brothers around them, who have supporting, loyal, loving female partners throughout their lives, who have value, have specialist skills, who can be relied on under pressure. They are men of value. That's who you should be seeking to emulate, not some dancing clown on the internet.
It's pretty funny. I don't know if you saw that video, but recently, those two guys you were talking about, their fans were throwing all of their drinks at them because, you know what I'm talking about, Logan Paul and KSI. We ever have like a little bit of what, besides the point, like you would never see that happen to Andrew or Tristan. No. Just their fans show up and just throw their products directly at them. It's a reflection of what they put out there.
Yeah, exactly. They don't in any way improve the lives of their fans. You know, people, the dancing clown influencer types. So their fans might consume their content, but they kind of hate them a bit too. It's all a bit strange. Whereas Tate fans passionately love them. The amount of times in public,
kind of hate them too. That's a funny way to put it.
Yeah, the amount of times in public, countless times, young men have ran up and said, Tate, you've changed my life. Hey, Tate, I was just watching your video. Hey, Tate, thanks to Hustlers University, I've made enough money to buy my mum a car. It's endless. The Tate fans are so passionate about supporting the Tates because their lives have been improved. Can you say that about the other influencers of the world? And I put you in that space too. The way you are putting forward such a message of discipline, of being a man of character, of respect, of ignoring hedonism and choosing that straight path through life. This is a man people can respect. And so as a result, your fans will have a real respect-based admiration as opposed to, oh, that guy's famous, I want a photo with him for Instagram.
Yeah, that would never happen where people just throw their drink. I do meetups all over the world. And even then, I do have haters online and people go back and forth. I've never once in my entire life on everything have ever seen a hater come up to me. It's only been positive things. People like shaking my hand. And I think that's a reflection of what I am trying to do and trying to put out there, which is a good thing. I think, but the next step though, and I'm 24, about to turn 25. And another thing that I like about you that is not talked about in the Red Pill space is fatherhood, and it is how to become a good father. I've met your children, and they have a respect for you that I think is. I'm trying to like pick up tips and like I'm planning for the future and trying to see like what the right ways to discipline and how to. Because I plan to make a lot of money too, so I'm wondering like if my son's going to be spoiled, stuff like that. What have you learned in your years as a father?
Whoa, big open-ended question there.
That's a big question.
Props to your interviewing skills, brother. So the first thing I'd say as a man, and you know, haters are going to hate, it's not your job to be a mum. That's key. I see so many men, including masculine men, as soon as a kid comes, they drop everything that they do in terms of masculine activities and keeping themselves in the masculine frame, and they become a mum. Now, you can be a very attentive father, and you can still contribute and be caring without becoming a second mum. Your job as a man is to role model, is to coach. How can you teach your son the sort of man that he should become and the sort of man that your daughter should look for in a husband if you're letting go of your physicality, for example? Dads today, even young dads, you know, when the kids, because when the kids are little, it's a lot of work, especially if you're there and helping. Keep yourself fit, you must. Keep your relationships with your brothers. Maintain your masculine skill sets, whether it's shooting or driving or fighting. live it, go on adventures with your lads. Still continue to be a man who's living on your terms while being an attentive dad. That's the first thing. Don't drop everything that makes you a man because, there's a baby here and now I need to be a second mum. Society wants you to do that. Resist the slave mind. Still be a good, strong, masculine man. Be an attentive dad, but stay living in the masculine frame. That's key. Secondly, I think a lot of dads could do with being more attentive with their kids. Now, I don't mean, changing diapers and sitting on Netflix and watching I mean,
Agreed.
You'll see, I'm not sure if you've seen with my kids, I'll interact with them very much in a respect base. Like, kids have got a lot of energy. They will do silly stuff. They will break things. They will fight. I'll say to my kids, look, I want to have days where we enjoy ourselves. If you don't listen to your dad, or if you fight, or if you, disrespect the nice villa that we're in, there are going to be consequences. Just last night, they continued fighting with each other. I said, out of the pool. It's time to go to bed. No, but no. I'm sorry. There are clear lines that if you cross them, there will be consequences. Not that dissimilar to the way you can set up a healthy marriage, right? It's leadership of women and of children in the traditional dynamics. Again, haters are going to hate. That's what's needed in today's day and age. So have very clear frame with your kids and explain to them why you've just crossed a certain line, so there are going to be consequences. You need to do that all the time. To have polite, respectful children, you need to have that frame control all the time. As a final thought, I'd say you need to teach your kids that there are a lot of influences out there that want to program the way they think and the way they form beliefs that is not in their best interest. You can't be watching what your kids consume all the time, but you can teach your kids. For example, my son at a very early age, going through Netflix, he said, not that they watch Netflix anymore because the way it's gone, Dad, there's a girl power section on Netflix, but there's no boy power section. Why is that? I said, all right,
Great
again,
question.
I'm not going to put my beliefs on him. I'm going to say, you tell me, what do you think? He said, well, I see in all the movies, Dad, that the women are beating up the men and the girls are smart, but the boys are stupid. It's almost like everyone's trying to push women up. I said, yeah, I see that. And why do you think that's, not an ideal thing? He says, well, Dad, they're pushing men down. They're pushing boys down. I said, yeah, do you agree with that? No, I don't. And even at an early age, he said, you can push women up without pushing men down. If you have those informed, full attentive discussions about these things with your kids, they can come to their own beliefs, which is a lot more powerful than you trying to push them. So my son now, when he's sitting watching a movie, he'll say, oh, look, Dad, there's some girl power coming. I bet you this girl's really smart and this boy's really stupid. I bet you this girl saves this boy. Just the other day, we watched one of these Marvel movies, and he was right. He said, hey, look, Dad, I bet you this girl saves this boy. And of course, this superhero messed up and a woman came to save him. And my son can pick the programming before he even sees it on the screen. I've given him now a mental shield, if you will, to resist the slave mind. You must instill that in your kids, otherwise they're going to get programmed. You cannot be around them all the time.
It's pretty funny how, even as he was probably like 7, 8 years old when he picked up on that,
Yep.
It's really obvious stuff that we all know, but we let our guilt and we let different agendas restrict us from saying what we really believe. We can all see right through that and see what they're doing, but we've been programmed. So he's more honest as a child because he hasn't believed in all the propaganda. There's less of a filter, so he can be honest. It's not like it's that complicated to figure that stuff out. It's just the fact that he was able to approach that without somebody. Because if you had said, like, no, don't say that, girls need to be uplifted, he'd immediately like put up that's when the filters are established, and then that's when you start to become programmed.
And that's when they start to live against truth.